Hi there, my name is Hannah Epley, and I'm the Interim Associate State 4-H Leader and the 4-H Camping and Order Youth Specialist for the Ohio 4-H Program. Thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the competency understands organizational and camp environment. So these competencies, there are 15 of them that we focus on in the Ohio 4-H program to help train our camp counselors so that they're better equipped to be a great camp counselor and it can enhance the skills that are necessary to perform their required job duties. So what this competency is it basically means that you understand the 4-H organization and philosophy of it. You have a sense of community and citizenship with the camping program. You're knowledgeable about whatever the content area is. So if you're at a specialized camp, that could be nature, that could be technology, that could be horse, whatever it is, that you're knowledgeable about that for whatever the focus of the camp is. And then that you live within the camp routine. So today we're going to focus on the 4-H organization specifically and the sense of community within the camping program. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to be able to record this. I want you to choose between these two options. You can either choose meal times or you can choose campfire. So take whatever your preference is for this particular activity that happens at camp, and for whatever one you chose, I want you to generate a list of responsibilities for the campers, the counselors, the adult staff members, so those are the people that come from your county with you to camp to help run camp, the camp director, so that's typically the 4-H professional that's from your county that is in charge of the whole camp, and then what I consider the permanent or seasonal camp staff. So those are the individuals that live at camp during the whole camp season for that summer. So again, generate a list of responsibilities for each of those individuals for whatever activities that you chose, either meal times or campfire. So go ahead and take a few moments to do that. Go ahead and pause this video and then we'll come back here in just a moment. Okay, so how did you do? Some of the things that I came up with, and I'm sure that you came up with more of them, but during meal times, some of the things that I see campers doing is that they're eating food, they're making sure that they stay hydrated, they might have responsibilities like setting tables, and obviously you want them to engage in activities, songs, whatever it is that you're doing. Counselors, on the other hand, your responsibility is to make sure that campers are eating the food, that you're passing it around so that everyone has an opportunity to do that if you serve family style at your camp. You might be leading songs, or if not, then you're at least participating in them when you sing them. And you also want to account for the campers. So did everyone show up? Is everyone doing okay? Are they hydrated? Do they need to drink water? All those kinds of things. The adult staff then, they're making sure that we account for all the camp participants, but also making sure that dietary needs are accommodated. So sometimes that's a matter of working with the kitchen staff to make sure that all those campers have those things. And a lot of times they're preparing for the next programming activity. So what are the things that we need to do? The camp director is very similar to the adult staff. It just depends on what the role of your 4-H camp is for what those people roles looks like. But ultimately they're responsible for communicating with the individuals at the 4-H camp. The permanent or seasonal camp staff then, they're making sure that there's enough food and they're taking care of anything at the 4-H camp that needs attention. So that could be fixing a light bulb, that could be monitoring the weather, whatever that is. So those are some of the responses that I came up with for mealtime. So then let's go ahead and move into some responses that you might have come up with for campfire. And again, I'm sure you came up with other ones, but these are some of the things that I noticed, that I have noticed when I've been at a camp. So campers, during campfire, they're singing the songs, they're participating in challenges, they're doing skits, all that kind of stuff, chants, all those sorts of things that you're doing at campfire. The counselors then are the individuals that are leading those songs. You're likely planning the skits or having a large part in planning that, obviously with your camper involvement to do that. You're determining whatever the challenge needs are. So if your campfire committee decides that you need a certain number of campers to do a particular activity, you're trying to figure out what that looks like for your group. You're obviously accounting for the campers and making sure that they're safe and healthy at all the time. And then a lot of times you're preparing activities, especially if you serve on the campfire committee. What does that look like to get all of those roles ready so that you can implement the events as they occur? The adult staff then, They're obviously accounting for safety participants too, because that's one of the biggest things that we do at camp is make sure that everybody's safe and healthy. They're also assisting with supply preparation. They do a lot of those behind the scenes type of things to make sure that the counselors and campers can have a moment to shine when they're at camp. They're getting ready for the next programming activities. So maybe you have an inspirations immediately following that. They're helping that group of counselors get those ready for whatever that looks like. And then a lot of times I will see the adult staff participating in the skits or songs or whatever it is that happens at camp. Obviously that depends on your time limits, their desire and ability, and if that's something that's permitted at your camp to do. The camp director is similar to adult staff like we talked about before, depending on the roles at camp, but they also communicate with the individuals of what's happening and those sorts of things. Permanent or seasonal camp staff, they're likely the individuals that are actually building the fire, what that looks like, making sure that there are appropriate items there to put out the fire in case it would get away from us, to make sure that everyone stays safe. And then they also too, depending on your camp, might be individuals that participate in songs, skits, or other things. Again, depending on your camp, as they are able to, permitted, and desires best. So we're going to move on to the next thing that I want you to do. So in a few moments, I'm going to have you pause this again and record these, is I want you to list the general roles of these groups of people while at camp. So as a whole, so we talked about specific roles during either mealtime or during campfire, but right now I want you to think big picture. What are the general roles of these groups of people while at camp? So I want you to come up with a list of things for the campers, for the counselors, for those adult staff members, for the camp director, and then for the permanent or seasonal camp staff. So again, what do those roles look like? So go ahead and pause and take a moment and come up with your list. All right, now that you have your list ready, I'm going to review some of the things that I came up with. Again, I'm sure that you came up with your own list because there are lots of different things that we can talk about related to camp, but these are some of the things that I came up with. So overall, general roles for the campers at camp. They're there to learn, they're there to have fun, and then they're learning a lot of times to be responsible for themselves and to take care of themselves. So it might be their first time away from home, and they need to make sure that they're changing their clothes, brushing their teeth, that sort of thing. Counselors then, your general roles, you're keeping your campers safe, you're making sure events run smoothly, so you've planned for them, and then you want to make sure that they're actually implemented appropriately. And then you're working as a team the entire time that you're at the camp environment, because it doesn't just take one of us, it takes a whole group of people to make sure that we're making camp run as smooth as possible. The adult roles, making sure that everyone's staying safe, that they're engaged, and then they do a lot of those behind the scene things that we talked about. So they might be preparing supplies, preparing activities, food, snacks, water, taking pictures, all kinds of things. The camp director then, they're also making sure everyone's staying safe and engaged. And they assist the camp counselors. A lot of times that I do is making sure that I'm talking through these counselors to make sure that they have their plans ready to go and we know what it is that's coming next. And another thing, again, we talked about communication before, but reminding groups or individuals of things that need to happen. So here's the order of events. This is what's happening. This is what I need you to do. That's a lot of times for plans. And then we know a lot of times that weather happens or other things where we need to alter those plans. So what does that look like? Then our permanent or seasonal camp staff, a lot of times their main responsibility is their instruction of whatever it is that they're teaching at camp, that particular area. They're making sure that everyone stays safe, obviously, and making sure that the camp facilities are in good working order. So from here, what are you going to do? I'm going to ask you to record this again here in just a few moments, but what are you going to do this year to make sure that your campers, counselors, staff, and camp director have an understanding of the multiple facets of the camping program? So what are you going to do to make sure that everyone can understand what's going on and what their particular role is at camp? And then the second part of that, so this is two parts. How can you specifically contribute to the camping program? So what can you specifically do to contribute to make sure that the camping program is the best that it can be? So write down whatever your action steps are, what you're going to do to make sure that everyone has an understanding of the camping program, and how you can contribute to the camping program. Thanks so much for taking time to chat with me today. I hope you have a great camping experience, and I know that you're going to make a great camp counselor.